Welcome to the Transparent FX Academy. I'm Nick and I'm a top author on trading with over 190k reputation points. In this video, I will be speaking about BTCUSD. Now, as usual, to keep the video as educational as possible, first I will be covering the technical aspect for this market. Then we will be moving to the order flow by looking at the commitment of traders. So what the essentially the COT data, which is what the big players, so hedge funds and the non-commercials, so the biggest speculators in the market are doing and how they're shifting their orders. And then we will be looking at some on-chain data, so how Bitcoins are moving on and off from exchanges, the new supply emitted into circulation, so quite interesting things. And by the end of the video, by putting together all these three different types of analysis, we will try to understand where we have the highest probabilities for the next potential move here for this pair. So without further ado, let's get right into it. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. This is the place to be for high quality, free trading education. So without further ado, let's jump straight onto the charts. Starting here from the monthly time frame, what we can see is that at the moment we have a market which is rejecting to the upside exactly the previous cycle high and now creating new all-time highs. In fact, if we look at this market from a cycle perspective, so market cycle perspective, we can notice how exactly from here all the previous bear market was created. Here we had the previous halving, the market entered into a bull market, then we had the bear market which went and tested exactly the previous cycle high, and currently the market is rejecting to the upside exactly that previous cycle high. And after having the last halving happening exactly here, we are now trying to push above the previous all-time highs, therefore creating new all-time highs. Now, if that would be the case, we would essentially be in price discovery. So at that point, more bullish price action as happened here seems quite likely. So from a monthly standpoint, everything seems quite bullish. We can also notice, if we look at the pattern, that we have a very clear impulse to the upside, followed by a correction. After an impulse, if you want to measure the correction, you have to take a Fibonacci from the low to the high of this impulse leg. And this shows us how we have a 0.32 and 50% retracements lining up exactly at this area, which the market in fact just tested and is currently rejecting to the upside. Dropping down on the weekly time frame, what do we see? Now, from a weekly standpoint, we had identified in the previous analysis this counter trend line. Now, this counter trend line was tested and rejected to the upside perfectly after the break. In fact, this candle broke above this counter trend line. At that point, as we know, previous resistance was turned support. The market retested it here perfectly, rejected it to the upside, and currently we are in the process of getting the rejection to the upside, just as we got the news of having the first US president being essentially a pro-crypto US president. And the market obviously has reacted positively to this fundamental aspect of this market. Dropping down daily time frame, what do we see? Now, from a daily perspective, we can see how the market has just created just now a new daily higher high, which is actually a new all-time high. In fact, this high here that the market has just printed at this level is a new all-time high for BTCUSD, which has just been created. Now, what we have to keep in mind is that this level here, so now the previous high, which was actually the previous all-time high, is now previous daily resistance, which if the market will manage to close above it at the end of the day, would be turned support, because as we know in the market, previous resistance, once it is broken to the upside, becomes support. Now, before we dig into more detail into what we have here from a technical perspective, first, let's go and see what we have when it comes to the commitment of traders, so what the big players in the market are doing. Now, what we can see here is that we don't have yet the new report, so the post-election news report. We don't know how institutions have positioned themselves, but considering the massive breakout to the upside, there is a high likelihood that with the last report, net positions will start to be increased once again. The new report is coming out in just 2 days, and we should start to see net positions shift to the positive side. As for now, we still have a negative net positioning. The highest we had was here with 538 net positions. Now we have minus 1.8k net positions with 30,000 shorts and 28,000 longs. So still slightly more shorts than longs from an institutional perspective, but this should start to change now that we have the news release coming out. Moving to the on-chain data, what we can see here is that the first chart that I have pulled out here is the exchange reserves chart. The purple line is the amount of Bitcoins currently held on the reserves of exchanges, and the white line is the price. As the price was first dropping, retesting here the white line, this was the retest of the previous cycle high that we have seen previously on the monthly time frame. And then during all this rejection to the upside, the purple line has been falling to the downside aggressively. During this accumulation period, it has been dropping down massively to the downside. This shows a huge amount of buying and moving away from exchanges, which means that we could very much have a supply shock if demand will increase because the supply is at a 5-year low. If we go and see what we have when it comes to the new supply, we can, especially if we look at the new supply, we can easily see essentially the halvings in action. More precisely, we can notice how the last halving was completed obviously successfully. We can see how this purple line gets cut in half every 4 years. This is essentially the new supply emitted into circulation, so given to miners, that gets slashed in half, which is what is commonly referred to as the halvings. And we can see how we just had another one right here when essentially the purple line got slashed in half. And the price has still not reacted to this event, which is a very strong fundamental structural event because it cuts in half the new supply emitted into circulation. So again, this increases the fundamental strength of this market, increasing the probabilities of a potential rejection to the upside. So if the market here will successfully manage to break and close above this previous high, at that point, this previous resistance would become support. So after the break on the retest of the previous resistance turns support, that is where there is an increased probability of getting a rejection to the upside and seeing more potential bullish continuation away from this level, continuing with this uptrend. So continuing the creation of new daily higher highs and higher lows, therefore entering officially into another post-halving bull market. So that is basically my opinion. So if we do get this break and retest, what would I expect? Well, as usual, trading is reactive and not predictive. The monthly, weekly, and daily time frames combined with the COT data, on-chain data, those are the best time frames when it comes to the directional aspect of the market. However, when it comes to identifying early shifts in the trend of a market, the best time frames for that are the intraday time frames, so 4 hour and lower. Therefore, if the market would break and retest, on the retest, if the market would shift from an intraday bearish back to a bullish market, at that point, I wouldn't be surprised to see yet another rejection to the upside, continuing the bull market from a monthly standpoint. Now, if you want to learn more, I really suggest that you go and check out the transparentfxtrading.com website, which you find linked in the description. Here, you have the possibility to gain access to the most complete mentorship program ever. You have the possibility to gain access to all my courses, which will guide you from the basics to the most advanced topics like automated algorithmic trading using the MQL4 language. Then you will also gain access to the trading station software with a Telegram notifications integration directly on your panel. You will also have the possibility to have one-on-one mentoring directly with me, as well as having access to the COT data software, which is the one that you see me use very often in my videos. And if you continue to scroll down on the website, you will see that you have the possibility to join and gain automatically access with the email and password that you will create during the registration process. So I really suggest that you go and check it out as soon as possible. The link is in the description, and I will see you on your student dashboard. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like. Also, if you have any suggestions on any topics or pairs that you would like me to cover in the next videos, make sure to drop them in the comments below, and I will see you in my next video.